Video, we'll be going over IRS Form 15227, application for an identity protection personal identification number, or an IP PIN. So before we get into this form, which is fairly straightforward, there are some filing considerations. First and foremost, this is the first form that I've seen in quite some time where there is a tab that allows you to toggle to a Spanish version of the form. Although that does not seem to work on this, so you can simply just go to page 2 and read the Spanish version from there. I cannot speak Spanish, so I'm going to stick to page 1. So at the top of the form, there are some considerations. First, let's talk about what an IP PIN is and why you might receive one, and what the IRS's IP PIN program is about. So an IP PIN is identity protection personal identification number, or that is a unique 6-digit numeric combination that is assigned to a taxpayer as an additional layer of protection when filing your electronic tax return. So if you are a victim of identity theft, you may receive a notice from the IRS, CPO1 series notices. We'll put links to those videos in the show notes. There's an entire playlist of identity theft related videos that we've created. We'll put links to those in the show notes. So if you're a possible identity theft victim, the IRS might contact you. They might start an initiation or an investigation based on tax information that they've received. Someone might have filed a fraudulent tax return on your behalf with stolen information that you didn't know about until the IRS contacts you. Or you may be a traditional victim of identity theft, and you've already filed IRS Form 14039, which is the Identity Theft Affidavit. And as part of this, the IRS will allow you to participate in the IP PIN program. So the way this works is every year, usually in January, you'll receive in the mail a new 6-digit code that is used to file your tax return. If you don't use that code, or if you put in the wrong PIN, the IRS will not accept your tax return. So again, that's just an additional layer of protection. And the way the first question you might have is, why would someone file a false tax return in my name? Over the past few years, there has been a rise in fraudulent tax returns that are filed with the Internal Revenue Service. So what generally happens in a fraudulent tax return is that the identity thief will overstate taxes that they paid. They'll overstate or fraudulently claim deductions or credits that don't make sense, that would not be allowed in your situation. And the IRS will accept the tax return initially and then provide the refund usually to an account that that the identity thief has set up separately. And by the time either you notice or the IRS has flagged your return for an audit based on different flags, they might have already left with the money. So generally speaking, these fraudulent returns involve inflated refunds designed to put refund checks into the identity thief's pocket. So the IRS does have certain tools in their automated systems to try to mark certain records, and that's where you may receive one of those notices where the IRS may pull that record aside or that tax return aside to verify your identity or to get additional information about a particular tax return before issuing that refund. However, with the sheer number of tax refunds that are or tax returns that are filed every year, there are still quite a few of these fraudulent returns that slip through the crack. So if you've already received a PIN, if you've received notification from the IRS that you've been assigned a PIN, you do not need to file this application. If you've lost your PIN or if you've not received it in the mail, you can retrieve it from the IRS website. If you go to irs.gov/retrieve IP PIN, it'll take you to the page. You can get a PIN immediately simply by going to the IRS website, irs.gov/get an IP PIN, all one word. You can also schedule a visit at your local taxpayer assistance center. So you don't need to file IRS Form 15227 to get a PIN. But if you do, you need to make sure that these 4 conditions apply. First, you don't already have an IP PIN and you're not already enrolled in the IP PIN program. 2, you have either a social security number or an individual taxpayer ID number. So you'll be prompted to provide that in box D below. We'll get to that in just a moment. Number 3, your adjusted gross income on your most recently filed tax return is below a certain income threshold. For individuals, that AGI threshold is $73,000 per year. For married couples filing a joint return, that threshold is $146,000. Again, the most previously filed tax return. And then 4, you have access to a telephone because the IRS will contact you and they'll ask you certain verification questions to verify your identity before just sending you your IP PIN. They want to make sure they're not sending the PIN to the tax thief, right? So those are 4 things that you need to consider. Now we're just going to go to the form itself. This is pretty straightforward. Our hero, John Doe, he's not sure if he's the victim of identity theft, but he's going to go ahead and just enroll in this program just to protect himself. So in box A, we're going to enter taxpayer name, last name, first name, and the middle name or initial. If your first name does not fit in the spaces provided, and let's see how many spaces are provided. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. So I'm going to stop at 40. I've never met anyone with a first name longer than 40 characters, but you can use your first initial, you can use your middle initial, but you have to spell out your last name regardless of how long it is. Sorry, I had to address that. I have had questions from taxpayers with extremely long names before. In box B, you're going to enter your mailing address. If you recently changed your address, you may want to make sure that that if you're filing IRS Form 8822, which is the official change of address form, that it matches the address that you're entering here. So, you know, that should be the case. You should always make sure that your mailing address is current with the IRS. In box C, you're going to check whether or not this person up here is a dependent. For example, if you're filing this on your kid's behalf, then you would check yes. And odds are pretty good that, you know, if you're a victim of identity theft, you may want to kind of take that extra layer of protection for your family as well. Box D, you're going to enter your social security number or your ITIN, whichever is applicable. And taxpayers can only have one or the other. If you're eligible for a social security number, you'll never have an ITIN. They'll just tell you that you should get a social security number. In box E, you're going to enter your telephone number, and this is important to make sure that you are available at this phone number because the IRS will try to contact you to verify your identity. If you're in Alaska or Hawaii, it's not really your local time. They'll follow the Pacific time zones. So keep an eye on that difference. Box F is for your language preference, although I'm going to say that it's implied based on the language of the form. I'm not sure why there are only two options and two language versions of this form, but if you're completing the English version of this form, you'll probably check English. If you're completing the Spanish version, probably Spanish. And then at the bottom, you're going to sign this you're going to print this form, and then you're going to complete, you're going to enter the date that you completed it. So, and that's about it for this form, but there are a couple of considerations, right? So whenever the IRS contacts you, you'll want to make sure that you have your current tax returns available. They may ask certain information that's only available on your tax return to verify your identity. Once you're in the IP PIN program, you cannot opt out at a later time, and the IRS will send you a new PIN every year via mail. It'll come in what's known as a CP01A notice. That's your notice of your new PIN. That's the PIN that you'll need to use when you file your tax return that year. So just make sure that you keep on top of your IP PINs as they come in year after year. You can submit this form by mail or by fax. If you submit it by mail, you're going to mail it to Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Fresno, California, 93888-0025. If you fax it, you're going to want to use a cover sheet marked confidential and fax that form to 855-807-5720. So I think that's about it for this form. It's pretty straightforward. It's one page and it's completely optional. If you don't want to fill out this form, you can go to the IRS website and request your PIN that way. So if you're going to request your PIN, the IRS recommends that you use exactly one method to do it. So if you've already filed this form, don't go online to request a PIN. If you've already gone online to request a PIN, don't file this form. So we'll put links in the show notes to some of the articles and videos we've created. You can go check out the article with a little bit more detail about completing this form and some additional filing considerations. Simply go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS Form 15227, and you'll see the article appear. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see discussed in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.